Guys, how's it going? Today we are in the raised bed vegetable garden planting spring crops. We've got a few plants here, we've got a basket full of seeds, and one of our winter sowing jugs. That's Bellstar broccoli. Aren't they sweet? I think there's 20 or so plants there. So spring crops are the types of things that flourish in cooler temperatures. In fact, they start to fizzle and fade out when it gets too warm, which is quite perfect because it allows us to get out here early and we can plant some things and get them going and start harvesting early. And then when they fade, we're ready to clear out the raised beds and plant our warm season stuff like tomatoes and corn and peppers. And you can find a list really easy if you Google spring crops or cold season crops, cool season crops. Some of the main ones are carrots, beets, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, any type of green, you know, kale, lettuce, spinach, mustard. I'm gonna grow some celery today. I'm gonna put some cilantro in, peas. I'm trying to think of any other onions. The best way to know if you are ready to plant your spring crops is to get yourself a soil thermometer. We're usually out sometime in the month of May planting ours, but it says our soil temperature is just over 50 degrees. And I love that on the top, it lists out different types of crops. And it says that you need to put this 2 to 3 inches down in the soil. And if the soil temperature is 45 degrees or over, you can plant cabbage, celery, onion, and peas. 50 degrees broccoli, 60 degrees tomato and corn. It just gives you an idea. It doesn't give you a full list of everything. So like at the 50-degree broccoli mark, then you know that you're probably safe to go in with cauliflower as well. But I've had this in the ground for, well, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours today already. And it's so exciting to me that the soil temperature is plenty warm enough for us to get going. In terms of plants that we're going to put in today, I've got 2 different varieties of cabbage. This one is Stonehead, which is a variety I usually plant. They just are really productive. I mean, they grow into huge heads, really big plants. They're beautiful. And then we have a variety called Katarina, which I don't think that I've grown before. It says sweet 4-inch heads, petite plants ideal in small ornamental or edible gardens and pots. Perfect variety for the greenstock vertical gardens. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should run back and get another pack. We could try them in there. Then of course we have our Bellstar broccoli. And then for seed, we've got cilantro, spinach, Utah tall celery, Danvers half-long carrots, dwarf gray sugar peas, and sugar snap pole peas. And all of these seeds are kind of in unmarked envelopes because they come out of the bulk bins down at my parents' garden center. All these seeds are available on their website. Onions is another big spring crop that we usually plant, but I plant so many of those that I usually don't plant them here in the raised beds. They usually go out somewhere else, and my plants aren't quite ready yet to go out, so we will skip that one today. And a couple other things I'm gonna be using. These right here, these domes, which you can tell I've had forever, they're starting to discolor. They look kind of amber colored, but they'll allow enough light to come in, keep the plants happy and protected, because the cabbage and the broccoli, these have been in the greenhouse. These have been outside, but they've had a lid on top of them. So I want to provide a little protection for a little while. So these are for the cabbage. And then I've got super hoops, which I'll explain to you when we get to them. I want to hoop the whole bed since I'm going to be planting out all these seedlings. I want an easier way to cover all of those. So we'll do that. I've also got these bamboo trellises, which if we swing this way, I set one up. So they expand out like that. Those are for our peas. I've got some copper labels here with a garden marker to identify stuff. And of course we've got our biotone. So we will apply that to every bed that we plant in. And I got my kneeling pad. I think I know how I'm gonna lay this out. Okay, so little tour here. We've got this bed for peas. I think I'm going to do broccoli in this bed here. Carrots in this 3x6. We already have garlic in here and blackberries right there. We've got garlic in these 2 beds. Look at how strong it's looking. I love it. This will probably be where spinach and something else goes. Can't decide yet. I'm thinking the larger cabbage in this one here, the smaller cabbage with some celery here. There's garlic in that bed. And then in this one, we'll put more peas. On this end, we've got chives in a pot. We've had these chives in here for probably the whole time we've had this vegetable garden. 6 years maybe? I don't know. Also, real quick before we start, you can see the daffodils we recently planted are looking gorgeous, as are the containers right out front. So bright and happy. Oh, Russell, are you thinking you like my kneeling pad? You're a good boy. Okay, so let's just get to planting. I think we'll start with the peas with the bamboo trellising first. There's our pea seed right there, the dwarf gray sugar. I usually go about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more than that deep, and I put 2 in per hole. So we'll pop 2 in right there, 2 in right here. And this variety, the dwarf gray sugar, is not necessarily a climber, but pea plants, even if they're like a bush pea, they still get quite tall, and they do benefit from having some sort of support. So while these will probably not reach the very top of our trellis, they will lean on the rest of it, and they'll look a lot better for it. So I'm gonna finish planting this bed, and then we'll move on to the other one we're gonna put peas in. Peas are done, planted all the way around the perimeter, and if we swing this way, you can see the other far bed over there, all done as well. Now these are a little bit hard to push securely down into the soil. So what I usually do is I'm gonna go grab a thinner bamboo stake, and I usually weave it inside and right along the corners. So 3 different corners here and down into the soil. It's way easier to get a single stake down in than the whole menagerie here. So that'll run down into the soil, and then it'll run up to about here or so. And then I usually just either zip tie or tie off with some twine, and it keeps these in place. They've got quite a lot of protection from the arborvitae here, but it's still fairly windy. Here comes Aaron. He's been mowing the grass. I was out working on something earlier today, and I heard the lawnmower rev up. Thought, of course, first really nice day. Of course, he's out there. Did you pick up a lot of grass there?
I did, actually.
Did you?
I dumped the thing 3 times.
Did you really?
Or
It looks
maybe 4.
It looks a lot greener.
Yeah, it does.
From this angle, for sure.
Are you happier with me doing that versus burning it?
Yes. Yes, I am. Okay, let's do our bigger cabbage next. That will be in this 3x6 bed. We've got some tulips coming up. It's kind of fun to see remnants of other projects from the past coming up still. Okay, I've got some taller domes right here. These are really discolored. Okay, I'm gonna take these tags out. What did I have in here? Spinach and lettuce. I'm just gonna use the tag that it came with and put that at the front of the bed for now, because I don't think I have enough of those pretty copper tags to stretch. And we are going to break this into thirds here. So the back half here you can see is in the shade right now because we're late afternoon. It's in the sun for most of the day, and all the stuff that we're planting, minus the greens, they can handle a little bit of shade, but most of the stuff wants full sun. So that means 6 to 8 hours plus of sun. The more sun, the better. And I'm just gonna add in a little fertilizer around where we're planting each one of these plants instead of amending the entire bed. Is that about half? I never get it right. Looks okay. Root systems look good. It's about equal. If you get cabbage or broccoli that's wobbly, these are pretty nice. They're kind of stout, but sometimes they've got a long stem right below where kind of the bouquet of leaves come out. You can plant it right up to the bouquet of leaves so that it's nice and firm in the soil and it's not, wanting to blow all over the place. These, I like to keep the vents open on the top. So what I do is place these over the plant, and then I use a landscape staple, because these generally, when you get these, they have little holes through the base right here, usually in 3 locations. So you can stick a landscape staple through it and secure it at least on one side. There we go. That way, if the wind hits it, it probably won't go anywhere. If anything, it'll do this. Makes it easier to water, because right now our watering system is not on yet. So I'm going to be hand watering all this stuff until we get that done. You can also secure them from multiple sides if you want. It just is a lot harder to water at that point. Usually I would water through one of the air holes at the top, but then you nail your plant a whole bunch. Okay, cabbage bed number 1 is done. And I think you could probably squeeze in 2 more plants if you did 8 and just spaced them out. but these plants get really big. I wouldn't do any more than that. In fact, when we get to the end, when we're ready to harvest, it'll be amazing how beautiful this bed will look, because cabbage is just a beautiful plant, but how big they get. And maybe we'll start a trend with our nice amber colored plastic and melted tops. Must have left these out somewhere too long. I don't know, they still work. So who cares? We don't need to have them out here for too long. All right, next bed is this one. We are gonna do the 6 small cabbage right in the front side of this bed and Utah tall celery on the back half. I'd have to look it up to be sure, but I wanna say celery seed wants to go about 1/8 of an inch deep. They're pretty small, so don't bury them too deep. I'm never exact, but about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, we've got our 6 Catarina cabbage in and 4 rows of celery that we will have to thin. The seeds are so tiny, it's just easier to do a light sprinkle and thin them out later. I never think to start celery early on. I don't know why. Also, you'll notice that I flopped this 1/4 inch drip tube out of the bed. This is the raised bed that we had our carrots in last year, and the water was not working very well, but the crop was already kind of going for it, and I didn't want to root around for these tubes, which hindsight, I should have just taken the time to fix them because I spent a lot of time supplementally watering the little spots that weren't getting hit. But we have such hard water that we have to almost like every year, if not twice a year, change these out. So I think what I'm going to do is actually change all of these out for drip tape in here this year. That's the plan. I just knew I wasn't going to have time to do it today, and our water's not on anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Do that another day. So in this bed right here, I decided just to do cilantro on this side. It's a 3x6 shaped L. So the short sides are 3 feet, long runs are 6 feet. This side, we have some bachelor's buttons coming up, the Blue Boy, and they're gorgeous. So I'm just gonna let them do their thing. And this side will be perfect for several rows of cilantro. I've always loved the look of cilantro seed. They look like little roly-polies. Got our tag made. Go. This bed is all prepared. We're ready to go in with our spinach at about a 1/2 inch deep. And I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. And I'm gonna leave this spot underneath this trellis empty because I was thinking it might be really sweet to pop some sweet pea seeds in on each one of these. I think that would bring some sweet spring color. Also, with things like greens, you don't have to plant them in rows. I just like the way it looks when everything's like got a space and everything's very tidy. But you can kind of mass plant spinach or lettuce seeds in a bed like this and just have them come up nice and thick. Also, this is why I love 3-foot wide beds instead of 4 foot, because I can reach all the way across a bed and do a job. That bed's all done. So now we just have the 2 3x6s right here. We'll do the broccoli last in that one, since all of our supplies are sitting there. So we just have carrots now. I love the Danvers half-longs. They're a super sweet carrot. They're very tender. I usually, in a bed like this, you could probably do 5 rows. I tend to like to do 4 just to give the greens some room. So we'll just kind of follow these, even though we are going to be taking those out here shortly. And these will go in about a 1/4 inch deep. Ooh, the soil is hard. Well, we got the carrots done. I ended up having to go get the digging fork to turn over the soil and loosen it up some because it was so compacted, and I always have problems, and I'm wondering if it's the arbs. So I always have problems with the soil in the back half of these beds being super tough, and I found a ton of roots. I'm wondering if the arbs sense the water and they're starting to want to grow into these beds. That is just a theory. I am not sure if that's true, but we got the problem rectified for today. Got all the soil loosened up, added in our biotone, got the carrots planted, found a ton of worms. So the soil's healthy. It's awesome. And I flopped the drip tube out of this one as well. Almost. Samantha, we have to plant broccoli in this one, but I want to show you guys these super hoops, which I have used out in the cut flower garden a lot. So you stick the base down in, which I'm going to want one on either end and then one in the center. So all the way down. And then you grab one of these pieces. These are from Gardener's Supply.
Hey, Mom.
What?
Hey, Mom.
What, babe? It's a leaf. Okay, so we line these up. Easier said than done. Okay. Pop those down in, and then we can tighten this right here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to stick this one in here. And that'll slide down in. And then we use some of these connectors to pull them together and connect them. Hang on, I gotta set the camera down. There's our first hoop. So I think this is meant to be used in a wider sort of situation because it kind of wants to like bow one side out a little bit, but it works for this just fine. You can see the silver tubes connect the pieces from either side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other end and in the middle. And what this will allow us to do is it'll allow us to put a piece of frost protection cloth over the top of all of our broccoli, and we use these little clips right here to clip it on, and that will protect our plants. Good job. You did great. Okay, babe. So here, come help put these in for me. Push it down. Hooah. Hooah. How far down? Oh, I gotta go all the way down, like that. What are you doing? Whoa. Super hoops are up. They look really good. So you can see how easy these are just to toss some fabric over and pin it down, which we will do after we water everything. So 21 holes is what I made right here, which I think is what we have. We might have 22, I'm not sure. I'm just gonna get in here and see what we find. Beautiful little plant right there. Just pop it in its spot. Nest it in. Oh, look at that little baby. One could wait till they're a little bit older to do this, but I'm ready today. Here's 3 plants. 1, 2, and 3. Look at these. Oh, so cute. So I'm just going to continue on with this. We will water everything, and then I'm going to go grab a piece of frost cloth and we'll get them all tucked in. That should be the end of our project, I think, for today. And there you have it, you guys, all done. Every single bed is filled, watered in, fertilized. Everything that needs to be covered is covered. This is how the super hoops work. so you can see a little bit more. Now, you should face this part. I forgot these little things that tighten your straight pieces that go in should face in so that it doesn't snag your fabric, which is probably what happened right here along the way. That won't hurt anything, but if you look in here, maybe you can see the little broccoli plants, possibly. I love it when the garden is first planted and when things are just starting to come up and you can see the little domes and all the structures still. I think there's just such a sweetness to it. Maybe it's because it always feels like it's been a fairly long winter for some reason. We really haven't had too hard of a winter. We did have a couple of nights under zero. One was -6 degrees Fahrenheit. So it got pretty darn cold, but everything seems to be coming out of it pretty well so far. Douglas, you are laying right on my garlic. Are you kidding me? Come on, out you go. Get, my goodness. And here is a look at the garden from this direction. Now it's just a matter of making sure everything stays damp. It doesn't need to be super wet, but you don't want especially seeds to dry out. So if you have a lot of wind, which we've had a tremendously windy couple of weeks, I'm gonna have to be out here at least once a day making sure that things still have some moisture. If they don't, I'm gonna have to drag a hose out and water them. Once things are up, you can kind of start backing off a little bit, and then once things are up, we should have our drip system on. So at that point, I'll have to run drip tape in all of these beds. And usually, I forgot to mention, usually I come in with land and sea compost after I'm done planting and I top dress the soil. I skipped that step today because I'm gonna still do the drip tape. So I'll get the drip tape in, then I'm gonna cover over it with the land and sea. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And I hope you guys are able to get out in your gardens now and get some things in the ground. We will see you in the next video. Bye.